There are things in the universe that are always guaranteed. The fact that the sun rises in the morning, the fact that everything that goes up must come down, and the fact that game journalists just can't help but cope and seethe whenever a game comes out that explicitly shatters their narratives. Narratives which they spend years and years weaving through articles posted on mainstream games media websites, which mostly come down to agenda-filled opinion pieces presented as facts or as quirky entertainment pieces. Unfortunately for them though, these are often archived and brought back later to bite them in the ass. Is it even any surprise that nobody gives a about what game journalists have to say anymore, as their outlets die out? It really isn't, and neither is the fact that Stellar Blade released on PC to massive success and a bunch of people online have been soying out hard just like they were last year when the game first released on PlayStation 5. Oh, there was no shortage of brainwashed morons online trying to shame people for playing this game and for being vocal about how much they loved the look of the protagonist. This was an even bigger deal last year because over the past few years, there's been an increase in dialing down the look of female characters in media. I won't get into this too much in this video as I've covered it before. I'll just touch on a few quick examples because there's always people who like to say that this is not actually true. Oh no, this never happened. Gamers are just conspiracy theorists. So here's an excerpt from a list of creative restrictions aired out by Xbox Game Studios with an entire set of rules dedicated to making sure that women are dressed appropriately and that their body proportions are kept in check. We can't have any of that overt femininity on display after all. There's no such rules for male characters, by the way. Want to make a male Viking who fights with nothing but a loincloth with a totally shredded body? You're free to do so. But want to make a female Viking with the same design philosophy and you can't. You gotta cake her in armor from head to toe and make her features and curves as least pronounced as possible. Here's a quote from a Ubisoft insider vetted by Legendary Drops, telling him about the environment inside their studios where, among many other things, the concept of beauty for characters, female characters specifically of course, was not something to be trusted. This description immediately makes it obvious why characters like K-Vess can't be perfectly scanned from their actresses and put into the game looking like them. If the actress happens to be too pretty or, God forbid, too hot, then that needs to be botched. Meanwhile, look at male actor scans and it's the complete opposite. We get characters like Cal Kestis perfectly scanned into the game from the actor Cameron Monaghan, same with Johnny Silverhand from Keanu Reeves, and in other cases like Sam Bridges from Norman Reedus, they even go out of their way to make the actor look better and stronger. And that's not to mention female characters in Eastern games that get perfectly scanned from their actresses. Like, this is not an issue of technology, this is not an issue of budget, this is an issue of people not wanting to do it this way here in the West. If you're interested in a deeper dive on this stuff, feel free to check out this video. I made it last year around the time that I started, so I'm sorry about the blemishes in the audio, but it goes deeper in on these topics. It'll be linked in the top comment and the description of this video. The point is that there's a clear as day problem going on in the industry where female characters and female gamers alike are being treated like garbage while being told that this is actually for their own good. So last year, when Stellar Blade released and Eve pretty much represented the opposite of this agenda, it blows up and the discourse online is packed with people celebrating this character and gushing over her appearance. And of course, on the other side of this, we have the mainstream games media shaming gamers over it, and to some extent even the studio and its developers, like when IGN said that Eve is bland, nothing more than a doll sexualized by people who have never seen a woman. It's actually pretty interesting considering that the director of the game has a wife who actually worked on the game as well, alongside several other female developers. Shout out to the studio Shift Up, by the way. They deserve nothing but love and I'm glad to see them succeed so much despite these parasites trying to throw them under a bus. Besides the games media, we also had of course Xbox Game Studios who posted that list that I just mentioned as a response to Eve, insinuating that her design is inappropriate. That's right, this list of creative restrictions that they shared is just a big virtue signal. I have no idea why they thought that this was a good look, but anyway, besides them we have a bunch of soyjacks online online who were brainwashed by all of this garbage into a point where they drop comments just like these, coping and seething every time the matter comes up. Incel this, gooner that, so on and so forth. Basically, these people are so brain broken that they cannot understand the concept of visually appealing female characters beyond their sexualization. These people are projecting harder than the sun, and it doesn't surprise me either because a major part of this media agenda has been filled with hypocrisy and double standards for years. Every single thing that you see these people complaining about, including the games media, is selective. They don't actually care about the issues that they bring up, they just use them to push their narrative. It's only there to be used to score points. That's why a game like The Last of Us 2 can feature a full-on sex scene where Abby is getting raw-dogged from behind and nobody's going to complain about it. But take games like Stellar Blade or Final Fantasy VII Rebirth where there are no such scenes and you're going to find these people complaining about Eve and Tifa. And then there's also articles like this which are on the video that I suggested that you guys checked out. I shared this article as part of one of those topics covering this hypocrisy, where as you can see the media is promoting this culture of objectifying and thirsting for fictional characters so long as those characters are male, and so long as the people doing the objectifying and the thirsting are women or gay men. Those fictional characters are fine to do this stuff with. In fact, I would say that it's brave and stunning. But the other ones like Eve from Stellar Blade or 2B from Nier Automata or Tifa from Final Fantasy are not. And if you do, you're just a gooner and an incel. But on this video, we're going to be shining the spotlight on PC Gamer because oh boy, this outlet has fallen off hard, man. And on this whole case to do with characters and objectification, these guys should get an award. It all starts with this article. Gooner Game of the Year Stellar Blade's mods are 41% smut, ensuring gamers will never see the light of heaven. Yeah, I'm sure this guy cares a lot about the light of heaven. I'm gonna be showing you guys some spicy stuff later in the fucking video, I swear. The moron proceeds to saying, Stellar Blade finally hit PC 2 days ago, giving everyone a chance to do whatever it is that this game is actually about. Unfortunately, no one knows what that is because the entirety of the discourse surrounding it is about the main character's butt. Let's actually pause right here because this alone is already rich. These journalists have been so impacted by this game's success and by the love that the studio has been getting and celebrating alongside players, unapologetically, straight up owning this aspect of the discourse online without acting like a prude loser or some triggered SJW who can't even describe what a woman is, that these journals don't even know how to cope. It's gotten so bad for them that they don't even know what angle to attack the game on, you know what I mean? So they'll be writing garbage like this, underplaying the game's success and features to make it sound like it's all about Eve's body, and therefore the actual game itself is actually weak, and gamers are just gooners, while others are doing the exact opposite, doing their utmost to try and divert attention from Eve's unapologetic appearance and giving credit to the game's combat system as if Eve's body was actually irrelevant and appealing character design is not nearly as popular as it seems. And I don't know about you guys, but I find this so satisfying to see. They're literally scurrying around like headless chickens, not knowing which angle to pursue, when in reality the truth is somewhere in the middle. This game does have a very satisfying combat system, and an engaging gameplay loop with worthwhile rewards for players to keep exploring and progressing for. The main story itself is decent, it's nothing special, but the biggest issue is the characters aren't very memorable or complex, but unlike game genres where this aspect is crucial to get right to retain player engagement, Stellar Blade doesn't require it. Of course, it'd be better to have it, and hopefully these developers will take that into account in their future games, but as it stands, it's not a deal breaker. And of course, the main character's appearance is a huge plus, harkening back to the good old days of character action games where protagonist appearance was a big part of the game's foundation. Reality is thrown aside, and instead developers would focus on just creating someone who exudes certain strong personality traits and looks objectively good, attractive, badass, etc., or a mix of several of these elements, as seen in characters like Dante from Devil May Cry and Bayonetta. This game understands its target audience and is not ashamed of them. At the end of the day, that's the #1 thing that is very different from Eastern developers developers and Western developers. Western developers are ashamed of gamers. They don't like them. They demonize them. They talk shit about them. They find what they like problematic and then they want to change things. There's none of this crap with Eastern developers. Of course, there's some of it sneaking into Japan now, but overall, Eastern developers are smart. They're here to sell their video games. They're here to make their audiences happy. They're here to make a good product, sell it and make some money, instead of to lecture us. And obviously, pretty ladies alone is not going to get you there. Over here in the West, we have strayed so far from it that it will definitely get some eyes on your game initially, but unless your game is good, it's not going to do very well. But why would journalists bother to do any goddamn work and talk about any of this stuff? Nah, screw that. Let's just bitch, moan and complain about gamers and their mods. The following 2 paragraphs in this terribly written article plow through 6 lines of text just to say that the game has landed on PC and with PC come mods. And now, currently, after this extremely reliable source counted all of the mods, he saw that 96 out of the 234 mods, so 41%, are labeled adult, and the majority are mods made to put Eve and other women in the game in outfits of variable levels of nudity, and then there's even menu replacers that put hardcore smut on the home screen, according to this guy. I don't really trust his assessment of what is hardcore or not. And now here's the best part of the damn article. Now look, I have no issue with what adults do in the privacy of their own home. If you want to turn your copy of any game into an overstimulating carnival of omnipresent erotic delights, please do so with my blessing. But I am a tad mystified. I do wonder what kind of lifestyle it is that leads a person to turn a video game main menu into hardcore cornfields. At some point, are you so inured to sexuality that you have to cram it into every available crevice to feel anything? Would you not find more fulfillment if the erotic were less ubiquitous and more rare? More precious? Apparently not, because the top 10 mods for Stellar Blade are all adult only, and they've been downloaded about 250,000 times collectively at time of writing. Goon on, gooners, let no one dim your sparkle. Jesus, this guy is coping hard. Please remember everything that he just said here. I mean, you don't have to, I'm going to bring it up anyway. But do keep it in mind, because the worst part about this is that he's being a complete fake fuck about it. Here's another article from the same guy. Baldur's Gate 3 Bear sex scene was such an upward turn in momentum for the game that its animator called his mom to show it off. Baldur's Gate 3 is resoundingly, terrifyingly, bore-quakingly popular. Why? Well, there's its deep and rewarding RPG mechanics, its cast of fascinating characters, and the historically high score that it got on PC Gamer's review. But mostly, it's the bear sex. This entire article exists solely just to glaze a romance scene from this game with a goddamn bear. He writes about the animator's experience animating it and then showing it off during the game's promotional material, and how well received it was, and how shocked the animator was of the scene being shown at a panel instead of a different, more tame one with one of the other characters, including showing his mom the scene for some reason. I don't know why he did that. What? But let's focus on the last part of the article. I'm really happy with how the community took to it, and boy oh boy did they. The bear scene quickly went viral, blazing a steamy internet trail across social media and getting up, I don't care, a fair amount of hype for the final game. That virality wasn't even hampered by a TikTok ban. Larry and Boss said, "We were just doing the panel from Hellstream and so the bear scene had just shown and I saw the publishing team. They were super excited and they were yelling, 'We got banned on TikTok!'" Like, brother, whatever, I'll hold off until the end of the article. Let's just continue with the last paragraphs. "At the office we were in at the time, my desk is right next to the kitchen," said Davis the animator, which made for some awkward encounters. "I was gonna get coffee," said Smith, "and I saw things that I did not expect to see." Davis continued, "I've been working on it for so long that you kinda just get numb to it almost, and people would walk by my desk and they're just like, 'What are you doing?' What he was doing was making one of Baldur's Gate 3's most iconic scenes. The rest, I suppose, is history." Man. Fellas, I'm gonna get real with you right now on two notes. I haven't beaten Baldur's Gate 3 yet because the game is just too fucking massive and I just haven't had as much time to invest into this as I wish. But what I do know for sure is that a graphic scene with a bear is not on my list of what makes this game the success that it is, nor something that I'll even pursue to see. There's so much emphasis being put into this by this moron, and honestly it's just representative of the loud minority in the fanbase. I mean, don't get me wrong here guys, good looking romanceable characters in RPGs are always a plus. We can look at Witcher 3 as an example of that. Everybody wanted to bang the sorceress anyway, but much like the case with Baldur's Gate 3, it's not the stuffed unicorn scene or the various ones with Triss across Witcher 1, 2 and 3, of which I am very familiar anyway, that made Witcher 3 what it is. It's an appreciated feature for sure, and even better when the romances are well written, but it's not the centerpiece. To write all of this about it, to put so much emphasis on a bestiality scene and then shaming Stellar Blade players for looking at a hot girl on screen is insane. And number two, you can scour the entirety of Stellar Blade and put it on TikTok and there will be no footage whatsoever that will get you banned from it. Eve may look amazing, but you don't even need to pick the spiciest costumes for her if you don't want to, and she isn't sexualized nor do we have any scenes of that kind in the game. In fact, she's kind of aloof to how good she looks, as opposed to Bayonetta for example, who flaunts it regularly and uses it as a part of her personality and movements. And yet, here we have some disingenuous fuck calling this game the Gunner Game of the Year and putting down demeaning remarks towards its players, while in the meantime writing an entire piece on a scene that got a studio banned from a social media platform because of how graphic it is, without a single negative remark towards the game's fans or the game itself. In fact, quite the opposite. He's calling it one of the most iconic scenes in the game. But nah, we're not done, fellas. Not yet. Here's another article from the same guy going off about a Baldur's Gate 3 Astarion doll. Sorry for censoring the word, guys. The truth be told is that I don't even know if I can say this with clarity on YouTube without getting like 36 flags triggered on my video. Just trying to keep my channel safe here, because the fact is that rules online about this stuff are strict. And the funniest part is that no matter how strict these rules are online, especially here on YouTube, I am showing Stellar Blade footage right now with no issue and no fear whatsoever. If anything, the parts of Stellar Blade that may be dangerous to show are the blood and gore of some kills, but Eve herself is not. But back to the article. This guy legitimately wrote an entire article about this, and once again, not one negative remark, not about the game, nor about the Gooners online. If anything, he's endorsing it. Here's how the article closes. The price of such a doll? $10,000 minimum, though it is currently on sale for $3,499 off. Once you've gotten through all of the accoutrements, noting that you can customize every inch, including the actuation, body hair, and well, size, you can easily double that price. It wouldn't surprise me if Tiffany's Astarion really did cost $20,000 or more once all was said and done. Tiffany, by the way, was the original poster of the doll. Here's what he had to say about her too. And you know what? Good for them. Far be it from me to judge anyone for how they spend their money or what they do with the fictional vampires they love in the privacy of their own home. After all, Tiffany is not alone. My sojourn through the seedier side of Baldur's Gate 3 fandom introduced me to other posable Astarions. Bro is literally giving the details of this garbage on a gaming journalism website and endorsing it. Actual workable multi-$1,000 dolls. But oh no, you're the gooner if you downloaded a few mods for a fucking video game. I do wonder what kind of lifestyle it is that leads a person to turn a video game main menu into a hardcore cornfield. At some point, are you so inured to sexuality that you have to cram it into every available crevice to feel anything? I mean, shit, bro, I'm sorry. I guess I should have spent $20,000 on a goddamn doll instead, huh? I guess that's a much better, safer, healthier, and more well-adjusted fucking outlet for me to, express my fanboyism. Get the fuck out of here, man. These fucking people. And it doesn't even end there with this outlet. Here's another couple of articles from PC Gamer, one ranking a bunch of Gunnar games on PC, and by the way, this wasn't even posted like back in 2010 or something like that when society wasn't so bitch made about these situations. It was posted in March 2025, 3 months ago. So Stellar Blade is like, nah bro, what's even the point besides Eve's butt? But hey fellas, here's a list of video games that are specifically for this activity and nothing more. And you know the cherry on top? The last entry on this list was this, heavily modded Skyrim. If you've played Arena and Daggerfall, you know the earliest Elder Scrolls games had a fair bit of nudity in them. Boy oh boy, how far we've fallen with Oblivion's remaster, not even wanting to retain statue breast sizes. So in a sense, mods like highly improved body overhaul, Himbo, and Caliente's beautiful body enhancer, and Schlongs of Sky are just bringing Skyrim back to its roots. You can't make this shit up. Like, this is okay, right? Skyrim's mods? Yes. Stellar Blade's mods? No, you're a gooner. Hey, are you so inured to sexual? Oh my. And finally, another article. I don't even need to say anything with this article. You can just look at the screen right now. I mean, I'm going to say it anyway. There's usually audio listeners. Every penis in Assassin's Creed Odyssey rated. And yes, this dude goes through a bunch of statue designs with their dongs out, describing them and then giving them a rating from 0 to 100, because of course he would. And you know, the thing about all of this that actually bothers me isn't even that they did it. I actually like that they did this. I like these articles. I like seeing people having fun with this aspect of games. But what's disgusting is the hypocrisy and the double standard of once again having some things that are appropriate, not just to have fun with, but also to joke around with, to find acceptable to be in games, and acceptable to have gaming discourse around without shaming anyone or being upset like a loser over their success, and then there's other equivalent things like Stellar Blade getting the opposite treatment. Hell, it's not even equivalent at this point. You can even compare a goddamn outfit or a nudity mod with a $20,000 toy. Isn't it nuts that Stellar Blade is the thing that's going to get you called an incel, but shit like this is apparently fine? You could go out right now, order one of these dolls, and you would be praised by these journalists. You would be held to a high regard. You would be a man of culture, whose things that he does in the privacy of his domicile are his and his own.
This is my own private domicile, and I will not be harassed, bitch!
But download a mod for Stellar Blade and you're getting roasted, boy. In fact, just playing Stellar Blade is bad enough. What are these people doing? What's going on with inside of their heads? I guess that's just another gigantic L for PC Gamer. They just keep raking them up these days. It's actually amazing. It's like they're speedrunning their bankruptcy after looking at Polygon. But anyway, you fellas have yourselves a great day out there. Like the video if you enjoyed it, dislike it if you didn't, and subscribe to keep up with the sauce. I need to get to 20k subs so I can afford my own $20,000